Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something pretty crucial, funding for public schools.
That's right. We've got some interesting numbers from the U.S. Census Bureau's latest school finance report. This is for 2023 data.
And we're focusing specifically on per-pupil spending, looking at how states compare. The idea, as always, is to get you the key info quickly and clearly.
Exactly. We're using a summary, actually an email summary, of that census report to guide us.
Okay, great. So let's start with the big picture. Nationally, what are we talking about for spending per student?
The national average, the benchmark figure, is $16,521 per pupil.
16,521. Okay, keep that number in mind. Now, how does Arizona stack up against that?
Well, Arizona's average is quite a bit lower. It's $11,297 per pupil.
11,297. So doing the math quickly, what percentage is that of the national average?
That works out to just about 68%.
68%. Wow. That's a significant difference, isn't it?
It is a very noticeable gap compared to the overall U.S. average.
Are there other states in that sort of spending range or lower?
Oh, yes. Looking at the data, Idaho actually spends less than Arizona at $10,247.
Okay, so even lower.
Right. And then you have Utah, pretty close to Arizona at $11,333, and Oklahoma at $11,155.
So Arizona isn't an outlier at the very bottom, but it's definitely in that group spending, considerably less than average.
Precisely. It's part of a cluster of states with lower per-student investment levels.
Now, that email summary we mentioned had a pretty pointed line. It said, "We do not have 68% of the national expectations for our students in schools." What's the thinking behind phrasing it like that?
Well, it seems to be drawing a direct line between the funding level, that 68% figure, and the ability to deliver educational services that meet sort of national standards or expectations.
Implying that lower funding makes it harder to provide the same level of resources.
That seems to be the strong implication, yes. When you're spending significantly less per student, it suggests there might be real constraints.
Constraints on what, potentially?
Oh, things like teacher-student ratios, maybe salaries, which impacts attracting and retaining staff, access to technology, specialized programs, even basic supplies or updated textbooks. It could touch a lot of areas.
Right. So if Arizona is, what was the number, about $5,200 below the national average per student.
$5,229, yeah, just under that.
That sounds like a huge challenge for schools trying to compute or just provide, a comparable education.
It certainly raises that question. How do schools operate effectively? How do they attract top teaching talent or offer diverse programs when the per-pupil resources are substantially lower than in other states?
And $5,229 per student. Multiply that by thousands of students across the state. That adds up very quickly.
Absolutely. It's not a small difference in the overall pot of money available for education. It represents a really significant gap in investment.
So boiling it down, the main takeaway here seems pretty clear. Arizona's funding per student is, well, way below the national average.
Yeah, significantly lagging. And it's also lower than or similar to several other states.
Yeah.
But far from the top, that's for sure.
Which really makes you think about the resources and opportunities available to students in Arizona compared to, say, students in higher spending states.
Exactly. And that leads to the bigger thought, the thing for you, the listener, to maybe chew on, something to consider.